Oh, what's up, familia? Welcome inside the pad. Hope you guys are doing good. Keeping in between the lines. Got your load secure. All right, so I rarely touch on gangs here on this channel, man, but here's one. Um, Having a few conversations with a couple of people from other states, a few people from Northern California, seeing my boy MC Shadow on his channel, Mod ENT, talk about it. I thought, you know what? Let me go ahead and make a video about it, man, because people did have questions, and I want to go ahead and clear it up for them, at least through my experience with what I'm about to talk about. Shout out to my boy MC Shadow from Mod ENT, man, and his second channel, Madness to Society. You guys can go check him out, man. Good stuff. Um, so basically, when it comes to other states and Northern California, I've had a few conversations, and people have asked or people have said things along the line like, "Man, I don't get it. I don't get how dudes can claim something else if they're not from there. How vatos can go ahead and bang. We're talking about gangs here. How can they go ahead and start banging something that they're not even from, right?" Okay, let me go ahead and tell you guys this. Okay, I understand. All right, to a lot of people outside of Southern California, SoCal is just SoCal, right? San Diego, San Diego, Orange County is Orange County, IE is IE, LA is LA, so on and so forth. But I've said it numerous of times whenever I do talk about gangs. No, that's not how it is. Even in Los Angeles, just LA alone, there are different sections. From the Harbor area to the east side, to the San Gabriel Valley, to the Antelope Valley, to west side, to Sela, Nela, so on and so forth. But I want to go ahead and say, listen, that happens here in SoCal too. All right. So because you think it's kind of weird or kind of off that how can somebody be banging or claiming something and they're not even from there, let me go ahead and tell you guys, man, that happens here. That happens right here. Okay. In Southern California. All right. I'll go ahead and give you guys an example. A few examples, as a matter of fact, Holmes. I'll go ahead and start, with my barrio. Years ago, it just so happened that a couple of us landed in the city of Fontana. Now, the city of Fontana is in the Inland Empire, okay? San Bernardino County. Shout outs to Fontana, by the way, and all the IE. Now, we didn't plan it. It's not like we're kicking it in the Varrio one day and we're like, hey, you know what? Let's a few of us, let's move out to Fontana, man, and let's, get things going over there and start a little clica or anything like that. Nah, it just so happened, homie, and not at the same time, but it just so happened that a few of us, probably, I think like four of us, ended up in the city of Fontana. Now, for me, myself, personally, I've shared this before. I moved around a lot, and one of the places that I did move to was Fontana. And when I moved to Fontana, I had about 3-4 homies that were living there. Like I said, it was never planned. It was never, hey man, let's go out there or anything like that. And this was, in the midst of the LAIE war, which was a real thing. So what happened? Started recruiting vatos, man, to get into the barrio. And recruit we did. We actually had a little clique in the city of Fontana. Now, here's the thing. Some of these dudes never, ever lived anywhere in Los Angeles. Some of them did, but not in the barrio, not anywhere in the east side. Okay, like I remember one of the homies, he lived in West Covina until he hit junior high school and then moved to Fontana. My point is, they were not from the barrio. I mean, they never lived on the block. But when they got in, and that was that. And not only that, homie, I mean, it was on and cracking. It was popping, man. So here you got a couple of vatos, man, that are banging LA, yet they never lived in LA. Some yes, some no. Okay, and they're banging against, you know, Varrios in Fontana and just against IE, man. Because in that time, it was just LA versus IE, man. It was one heck of a time. Now we don't have, that clique isn't around anymore. Some of the homies, dog, they got busted, got some serious time. And other vatos, man, moved away. I don't, I haven't lived in Fontana in many years now. So you know, that clique isn't around anymore. But there are so many other examples. Okay, so many other examples, man, of guys that didn't never ever lived in a barrio, but they started banging that hood. I knew somebody who was basically raised their whole life in Rancho Cucamonga, got into a barrio in Riverside. Homeboy in Downey got into a barrio in Pico Rivera. Never lived in Pico Rivera, ever. Now, how do these things happen? Um, it can be that you got family members there. That's one way. Okay, that you got some cousins, you kick it with them, you go and you start meeting people, and there you go, right? But a couple of names that I just, or a couple of people, examples that I just brought up, they didn't have any family members. They just happened to run into somebody, met that person, and started kicking it with them, and that person started taking them around, and boom, there you go, man. Uh, my homeboy, my old homeboy, man, he used to live in South Del Monte, and that was the party spot, man. That was a kickback spot. We used to go over there all the time, right? And he had a neighbor, and his neighbor came over one time, and we are kicking it, and he said he had gotten into a barrio, and I didn't really know the dude, but my homie did, and he said he got into a barrio, a well known barrio out in East LA. And my homeboy started tripping out on him, like, wait a second, homie, you grew up right here in El Monte. And he's all like, yeah, he gave his reasons why he joined the gang out in East LA. And it's not because of any family members, it's not because of anything like that. Other ways as well that I've seen dudes get locked up. Okay, vatos go in as what they call residents. I'm not going to get into all that stuff. Okay, but basically, they're not street gang members. They go in, they come out, and they're from a barrio that they had no ties with, none at all. But they came out, and they're from that barrio now. And like I said, if to people from out of state or maybe Northern California, it probably doesn't mean a lot to you, man. But I'm telling you guys, man, down here, different areas and everything, it does mean something. Okay, it is not that uncommon to have vatos from your hood that never, ever, ever lived in your hood. It happens. And I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that every barrio has at least one homie like that, at the very least one. But if I could put my money on it, I'm going to say, a few. Maybe not most. I'm not going to exaggerate and say, man, most or half the barrio. Nah, I'm just going to say a few handful of dudes, man, that never lived in maybe they even lived in that city, but not necessarily, in the territory that they say that's their neighborhood. I knew some other character, man. He lived in Bowen Park. I lived in Baldwin Park too once upon a time. That's how I met him. Never, ever, ever once lived in South Central. Doesn't have any family in South Central. He got into a barrio in South Central, which was kind of odd because he got busted, he got locked up, and then when he got out, he was from a barrio and from Compton. He wasn't from South Central anymore, and that's a whole nother discussion, right? You got barrio hoppers. That happens too. But, we could save that for another one, man. But anyway, I just want to go ahead and let everybody know it does happen in Southern California. Okay, it does happen. Don't just look at it like, well, LA is LA and that's that. Nah, homie, nah. No, that's not how it rolls. Okay. And you do have autos that never ever lived in that city, but they're from that barrio, whatever barrio in that city we're talking about. And on top of that, things have changed. I'm gonna say like in the last 25 years. Yeah, about the last 25 years, things have slowly started changing where things have gained more spread out to where we're at today. And I don't want to say most street gangs, but I will say a good chunk of them. I'm gonna say I almost want to say most, man, but I don't want to put that out there like that. But I'm gonna say a good handful of barrios today have more members from their barrio that do not live in their barrio, as opposed to members that actually live in their actual neighborhood. Just an example, I'll just make up some numbers, right? Let's say there's this gang that has 50 members. Okay. Once upon a time, man, most of those gang members lived in the actual neighborhood. Today, and I'm going to say it probably started about 25 years ago, man, where things slowly started changing. Today, it's a lot of the gangs are not like that. Today, you have out of those 50, again, I'm just making up numbers here. Out of those 50, you probably have about 20 members that live in their actual barrio that they claim as their neighborhood, when you got the other 30 that don't live there. Maybe they live in the same city, but not in the actual barrio and the actual blocks that they claim their hood. They live in neighboring cities, they live in another county, but you find that a lot today. Not to say that those guys never actually lived in the neighborhood, because they did, but it's just so much more easier. It's become way much more easier throughout the years to just move away, move out, spread out, man, transportation and all that. It's really changed the game. Once upon a time, you go to an actual barrio, most of the members live there in that actual barrio. Today, most members don't live in the actual barrio, man, but you are going to find vatos from the barrio that actually live there. So, but just to go ahead and answer the questions, man, and to the hint that I was talking to and everything, it happens here in SoCal, man. So when you guys think that it's kind of weird in other states or in other places of California, where it's like, I don't get it, man. How can you be claiming or banging something that you never lived there? Homie, it happens here in SoCal. It happens here in SoCal. Dudes are banging neighborhoods and barrios, homie, that they never lived in. So some might say like, hey, well, you know what? But they still go over there, right? Some yes, some no. Now, how are those homies looked at? Before I wrap up the video, how are those homies looked at? Well, it depends who they are. It depends who they are, man. Yeah, there are some vatos that join barrios, dog, and then disappear. Okay, that does happen. And then there's other vatos, man, that they join. Yeah, they never lived there, but they come around all the time. They're always, in the mix and everything. And to be honest with you guys, hey, homes, those vatos were looked at just like any other homie. Just like any other homie. I never really heard anybody bad mouthing any homie, dog, that didn't actually grow up in the neighborhood. If if he was there, if he was, all that really mattered was, hey man, is he down? That was it. Is he down to get down? Is he get down to do the business? What's up, dog? If he was down, hey, I never heard anybody badmouth. And dog, I'll tell you this, man, there were some straight riders, homie. Some straight riders, dog. So anybody could say like, oh, that's lame, that's this, that's that. Hey, you go tell them, dog. I ain't gonna go say anything, because some of these dudes, man, were some straight crazy ass mofos, dog. Serio, man. So just letting you guys know, man, it happens here in SoCal. It happens here in SoCal. And like I said, I don't want to be repetitive. It might not mean too much to people outside of SoCal because you guys might see it, like it's all the same, but it's not. It's not, man. So you got guys that never lived in the harbor area that are banging barrios from the harbor area. You got guys in the Inland Empire that are banging barrios from East LA that have never lived in East LA. You got guys, like I said, there was a dude from Rancho Cucamonga. He was raised there his entire life. He got into a barrio from Riverside, homes, and it's pretty common. It's pretty common. I'm not saying, damn, there's a gang of vatos like that, but hey, it's not that rare. It's really not that rare. So anyway, Holmes, I just want to go ahead and touch on that. I rarely talk about gangs. I might do a little bit more here and there, but I'll spread them out, dog. I don't really want to turn this channel into that. But anyway, I just want to go ahead and clarify that it does happen here in SoCal as well, man. And how are they looked at? Depends who they are, man. If they're in the mix with everybody else, to the best that I've seen in my life experience, they're looked at just like anybody else. So that's that, man. As always, familia, live your life like you're on the road. Be aware of your surroundings and always keep a safe distance. Blood makes you live, but loyalty makes family. Till next time, this is Thecholotrucker. Over now.